set at the horizon, right, and the quantum system that describes the black hole inside the mirage. And in fact, we think it's plausible, and we give some evidence and some soyable examples. In this case, an example of one world dimension where we can have a bite better. So the quantum system that describes the black hole should correspond to the region of space-time that concludes the photon, so to speak. So that way it has a hard space in all the elevate, and we we put it out there. People consider it previously, and we put it out there. It does sync and plausible ideas on the event horizon. And it's an outstanding problem of how you have a holographic reconstruction of a whole, and you think you could produce an experimental entity that gives you a HAP4 in a holographic plate, Eugene, and images. And I don't really think so. But what I think is going to continue happening, there are many different ways and waves and theorists and the ways that the servers can interact in the gold standard. And if theories make a prediction, whichever measurement on the observable server makes it, discovery and the theorist in the space. And there's a lot less than that. It's kind of the bread and butter of the closer to back moments, the habits, and with the bread and butter already happening, keeping us, and what is the interesting theoretical thing that you can understand and swirl around the black hole and giving answers, in turn jab that to think about a whole different principle. In 87, a little bit differently, and it's really useful to talk about philosophers and beautiful mathematicians. A lot of you got whichever environment, you double it. It's a philosophical type question, but not really. It seems like thought experiments and mathematics approximate the beat for Einstein and Guggenheim in the years to come. So that kind of weird things like economy headaches and off-strength theories and comedy and general relativity things, and giving it all. Most problems are either doable off problems of cigarettes and calculation, or is this to do that? There's no end of problems whose answer is uninteresting. Can it be solved? The answer is, I'm interesting. And there's also knowing in the prologues. They're very interested. Some of which you've asked me, and we don't have a clue how to solve them. And when first presented with a problem, almost every problem moves along those lines. And it's the jackpot when you find the one that's one or the other. And it seems like a gray area protruded for what you're looking. And I wouldn't describe it as a gray area, maybe a life ledge. So it's a very, very similar one, smaller area. Like a huge area with a sigh, light problems when people want to know the answers, and some deep zens with everything tied into physics and science and discovery, Ptolemy. So earlier in my career, I heard a lot of Marmoset side problems, not solvable by the ambition of youth. And what made me fall in love with physics at first, if I could come back to the early days, was that the black holes in the beginning, they made me remember. And all I wanted to do was to reach nirvana, and I knew that that was not going to happen, and I didn't want to know the meaning of life and illicit, and I was that proud that I understood to know justice and socialism built things configure those ideas, and that will, the simplest, smallest problem